你要搞清楚一件事，我不会随便给你这么乱讲的。好，我不跟你说我所说的100%一定是对，但是大约80%-90%都是对的。好，那么我今天让大家看一个视频，大家轻松一下，但是这所谓的轻松是告诉你哦，你要去特别注意洛克菲勒家族。你们有些人听过罗斯柴尔德家族，对不对？罗斯柴尔德家族，注意，其实才是真正世界上最富有的。那个什么，我们现在的所谓的什么历年来的所谓的全球首富，那个跟他比根本就是鸡皮蒜毛一个，懂吗？根本无法跟他比的。真正的最有钱的是罗斯柴尔德家族，还有另外一个跟罗斯柴尔德家族比罗斯柴尔德家族还差一点的是什么？洛克菲勒家族。注意，好，待会你在这视频你就看到洛克菲勒家族的一些事情。那这个为什么我会讲到罗斯柴尔德家族、洛克菲勒家族呢？你们有想过为什么？因为他们的未来会关系到 FED 的未来 ，FED 的未来会关系到未来全球的金融体系，未来的全球金融体系会关系到全球的股市，而未来的全球股市会关系到你的资产。OK， 所以我们来看一下这段视频。
The ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one-world government run by the banking industry, run by the bankers, and they're doing it in sections. The European currency, the euro, and the European Constitution is one part of it. Now they're trying to do it in America with the North American Union, right? And they want to create a new currency called the Amero, right? And the whole agenda is to create a one-world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right? There'll be no more cash. And this is given me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. And all money will be in your chips. And so instead of having cash, anytime you have money in your chip, they can take out whatever they want to take out whenever they want to. If they say you owe us this much money in taxes, they just deduct it out of your chip digitally.
Total control.
Total control. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip. And you have nothing. You can't buy food. You can't do anything. It's total control of the people.
And that chip's connected to a database that has your purchasing records, what you do, what
everything,
you sell.
Everything is in there, you know. And so they want a one-world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips, and they control people. And you become a slave. You become a serf to these people. That's their goal. That's their intentions.
Eric, can you be specific about when you met Rockefeller, how it happened in these discussions?
I met Rockefeller through a female attorney I knew who called me up one day and said, one of the Rockefellers would like to meet you. I had made a video called Mad as Hell, and he'd seen the video and wanted to meet me and knew I was running for governor of Nevada. So sure, I'd love to meet him. And I met him, and I liked him, and he was a very, very smart man. And we used to talk and share ideas and thoughts. And he's the one who told me 11 months before 9/11 ever happened that there was going to be an event. Never told me what the event was going to be, but there was going to be an event, and out of that event, we were going to invade Afghanistan to run pipelines from the Caspian Sea. We were going to invade Iraq, to take over the oil fields, establish a base in the Middle East, and make it all part of the New World Order. And we'd go after Chavez in Venezuela. And sure enough, later 9/11 happened, and I remember he was telling me how you're going to see soldiers looking in caves for people in Afghanistan and Pakistan and all these places, and there's going to be this war on terror, which is no real enemy, and the whole thing is a giant hoax, but it's a way for the government to take over the American people.
He told you it was going to be a hoax.
Oh yeah. There's no question. He says there's going to be war on terror, and he's just laughing. There's no who are we fighting? I mean, why do you think 9/11 happened, and then nothing's happened since then? Do you think that our security is so great here that these people who pulled off 9/11, who were able to, can't knock down another plane? Come on, it's ridiculous. 9/11 was done by people in our own government and our own banking system to perpetuate the fear of the American people and to subordinating themselves to anything the government wants them to do. That's what it's about, and to create this war, this endless war on terror. And that's why and that was the first lie. And the next lie was going into Iraq, to get Saddam Hussein out with his weapons of mass destruction. That was the next lie.
Now, specifically, this was a little over 6 years ago.
This was
11 months before 9/11.
Yeah.
And Nick Rockefeller, who's a lawyer, he's become your friend over the previous years, and he's saying to you that there's going to be this big event, and then out of that we're going to have a war on terror, and it's just going to go on and on.
Right, an endless war on terror without any real enemy. That you can never define a winner.
And did he say that it's going to be perfect because you can't define an enemy? It just goes on and on?
Yeah, because you can't define a winner. There's no one to beat, so it goes on and on forever. And they can do whatever they want. They scare the hell out of the American public. Look, this whole war on terror is a fraud. It's a farce. It's very difficult to say it out loud because people are intimidated against saying it. Because if you say it, they want to make you into a nutcase. But the truth has to come out. That's why I'm doing this interview. The fact of the matter happens to be that the whole war on terror is a fraud. It's a farce. Yeah, there's a war going on in Iraq because we invaded Iraq. And people over there fighting, But the war on terror, that's a joke, And until we discover what really happened on 9/11 and who was responsible for 9/11, because that's where the war on terror emanates from. That's where it comes from. It was 9/11 that allowed this war on terror to begin. And until we get to the bottom root of 9/11, the truth of 9/11, we'll never know about the war on terror.
Aaron, you said that he was, and I think it's important, and I know this about the Rockefellers from Dr. Dennis Cuddy and many others who literally, he'll be 20 years old in a lunch line at college, and there's David Rockefeller. And they're experts at recruiting and getting what they call players, and that clearly he was, I want to make it specific and just get you to reiterate what you said last night about you got 30% of the vote, you were having an effect, you made mad as hell, they knew that you'd started the Constitution Party, They knew that you were somebody who was taking action and getting things done, you'd already made some big films, had a lot of other successes,
right. So
they were trying to recruit you, and didn't it come down to the point of, hey, we are here to recruit you, and don't worry, your chip's going to say, don't mess with us, this guy's don't touch.
Yeah, yes, that did happen. I was definitely being recruited. But it's more subtle than that.
Well, in your words, just go through the process, and then what he said.
Well, what it is remember we were friends, and he used to go to my house a lot. We'd have dinner, we'd talk, and he'd tell me about business investments that he'd get involved in, or they would help me with this business investment or that business investment. And was I interested in joining the Council on Foreign Relations? I would have to get a letter to join them, but was I interested in that? And just stuff, leading you on. And I used to say to him that I never really did that because that wasn't where I was coming from. As much as I like you, Nick, your ways and my ways we're on the opposite side of the fence. I don't believe in enslaving people. And
he would come back with, "Oh, I do." Or?
Well, it would be more like
it's better for them.
Well, it's more like, how do I put it? It was like, what do you care about them? What do you care about those people? What difference does it make to you? Take care of your own life. Do the best you can for you and your family. What do the rest of the people mean to you? They don't mean anything to you. They're just serfs. They're just people. It was just a lack of caring, and that's just not who I was. It was just sort of like cold, it was just like cold, and I used to say to him, what's the point of all this? You have all the money in the world you need, you have all the power you need, what's the point? What's the end goal? And he said the end goal is to get everybody chipped, to control the whole society, to have the bankers, the elite people, the bankers and some governor controlling the world. And I said, do all the people in the Council on Foreign Relations believe this way you do? He said, no. Most of them believe they're doing the right thing. A lot of them believe it's better off being socialistic. We have to convince people that socialism is really capitalism. Because America's becoming a socialist country. It's a communist country today. Well, one of the things they told me was that he was at the house one night, and he would talk, and he started laughing. He said, Aaron, what do you think women's liberation was about? And I said, I had pretty conventional thinking about it at that point. I said, I think it's about women having the right to work, getting equal pay with men, just like they won the right to vote. And he started to laugh. He said, you're an idiot. And I said, why am I an idiot? He said, let me tell you what that was about. We, the Rockefellers, funded that. We funded women's lib, and we're the ones who got all over the newspapers and television, the Rockefeller Foundation. He says, and you want to know why? He said, there were two primary reasons. And one reason was we couldn't tax half the population before women's lib. And the second reason was now we get the kids in school at an early age. We can indoctrinate the kids how to think. It breaks up the family. The kids start looking at the state as the family, as the school, as the officials, as their family, not as the parents teaching them. And so those are the two primary reasons for women's lib, which I thought up to that point was a noble thing. When I saw their intentions behind it, where they were coming from when they created it, the thought of it, I saw the evil behind what I thought was a noble adventure.
各位投资人，你刚看到那个视频，除非你不相信，那就不用看我的节目了。我们是鸡同鸭讲。如果你相信的话，那你就知道为什么我之前在这个节目上跟你们说的一些事情，你们会觉得很奇怪。因为他刚刚这个视频所说的，跟我所说的其实是什么？殊途同归。他其实都在讲同一件事，幕后有一只黑手在控制着这个世界，包括我们全球的金融体系、金融系统。为什么我这么讲？我刚才已经讲过，你们要特别注意。我之前不是在节目上讲过吗？未来我们的全球金融体系将崩溃，旧有的这个现有的金融体系，全球金融体系将崩溃，全球的股市将永久关闭，而 FED 也将宣布破产。这个其实都是息息相关的。为什么？因为这里我们就从 FED 来去讲。刚刚你在节目上所看到洛克菲勒家族，那里面的那个人就是什么？所说的那个洛克菲勒只是家族中的其中一员。好，那么这个洛克菲勒，也就是说 FED 背后我不是讲过吗？它是一个私人银行，虽然它是美国的中央银行，但是它是一家私人银行，背后的大股东是谁？罗斯柴尔德家族、洛克菲勒家族，这些一大堆的所谓的这些银行家，你要搞清楚。而刚刚你在节目上所看到洛克菲勒就是 FED 的股东之一，罗斯柴尔德更是大股东。也是最有钱的。好，那请注意了，这个洛克菲勒他们的这个行为，他不只是在控制 FED 而已。昨天我在一本正经胡说八道单元里面所说的，你们注意了，包括一些全球的大型的食品加工厂，包括一些医疗机构，包括一些学校，都是在他们的操控之中，只要资助资金就可以操控了。好，另外一个包括生产转基因食品的孟山都也是洛克菲勒这些在控制的，所以呢，生活的领域包括金融都是他们在控制的，包括美国纽约摩根大通注意摩根大通总部大楼地下室的一台超级电脑，那个也是什么？那个也是他们的同一个派系的，跟罗斯柴尔德家族这些都是有关系的，而摩根也是什么？摩根大通这些也是什么？FED 的里面的股东之一。好，所以我在讲什么？现在早就有人都知道这些了，不然我怎么会知道？所以呢，这些邪恶势力已经快要被铲除了，未来将要迫使这个 FED， 告诉你，让它破产倒闭。美国会成立一个新的美国新的美利坚共和国，而不是一个现在的由私人银行所控制的美国公司。现在的美国叫做美国公司，不是真正的美国。所以 FED 未来会不会破产？绝对会。而你们要搞清楚哦，罗斯柴尔德家族不是洛克菲勒家族，罗斯柴尔德家族影响力更大。罗斯柴尔德家族不只控制了美国中央银行 FED， 罗斯柴尔德家族甚至控制了这个世界的几十个国家的中央银行。所以控制了这个世界的几十个中央银行是里面的大股东就对了。所以你们可以想想看，如果洛克菲勒、罗斯柴尔德家族被铲除了 ，FED 宣布破产了，请问你全世界许多的其他的这些被控制的中央银行会是怎么样呢？跟罗斯柴尔德、洛克菲勒家族有关系的这些银行会怎么样呢？包括那些摩根大通，包括花旗银行，这些跨国性的许多大银行，包括德意志银行，你们可以想想看，这全部都跟他们有关系的哦。所以我曾经讲过，你不要太自以为是，很多事情你都不知道。好，所以我刚刚借由那个视频就告诉你，如果那个视频是真的，那个视频其实就是真的。他是一个参加州长的一个选举的一个大导演哦。好，他说的是真的，就是什么指明洛克菲勒在干嘛了。所以我就讲过，其实我们90%几的人类都是什么？都是金字塔顶端底下在服务金字塔顶端极少数人的奴隶。我们就是在做奴隶。然后呢，大家在做奴隶，自己还不知道。然后呢，一下子被割韭菜，一下子被剪羊毛，就这样子。现在知道吧？你刚刚看到那里面他在讲什么？他根本把我们当作奴隶。所以呢，你们要注意，未来如果全球金融体系崩溃，或是 FED 破产，或者是全球股市关闭，这跟全球股市关闭有什么关系？我可以告诉你，这个金钱游戏就是这些家族创造出来的。就是他们创造出来的，所以当他们未来被逮捕、被铲除了以后，我请问你，这个股市还需要存在吗？我曾经讲过，这股市不是在为你们投资人服务的，这个股市是在为金字塔顶端上面极少数人服务的。所以为什么你们10个8个赔？就这个不是只有我们，是全世界，不是现在，以前也是如此，现在也是如此。所以呢，今天反正要过年了，我就让你们看一些让你们震惊的。那如果你相信刚刚你所看到的视频的内容的话，不相信我就告诉你，你就不用看我的节目了。我们鸡同鸭讲嘛，对牛弹琴。OK，